a player on top, know it. Rooftop, penthouse suite. If you really want it, gotta own it. Fought through it, we was at the lowest. Blood, sweat, tears, the components. Riding all year, now's the moment. We are not friends, we are opponents. Yeah, I'm coming for mine, yeah. I'm making a play, the game on the line, yeah. I've been on the grind, yeah. I jump in the spot, I made it my time, yeah. Look in the sky, yeah. The stars align, no shade to shine. Can't stop it already, emotional work and devotion. We put in this time, look. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. Coming to take what's mine. Can't stop, won't stop, won't. If you really want it, gotta own it. Blood, sweat, tears, make 'em boom. You take us down, keep fighting. Off day, gotta bounce back. Might have took an L, we don't count that though. Remember bad, we was down bad. Now the way we looking, gotta doubt that. I know you see the way we moving, giving game. Better listen like a student, don't talk bad it, be about it, do it. Look here, really ain't nothing to it. I got proof for you like tenfold. Always down for the team, 10 toes. You been hater, we been on. Won't quit till I'm in the end zone. Won't stop till I hit the goal line. Never been the one to need a cosign. Can't stop it already, emotional work and devotion. We put in this bedtime, look. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. Coming to take what's mine. Can't stop, won't stop, won't. If you really want it, gotta own it. Blood, sweat, tears, make 'em boom. You take us down, keep fighting. At the end, I'll be there waiting for the rest. I don't take pity on the man who couldn't keep up with my best. No contest, no. You won't stop my stride. I'll just break your line. I don't tolerate wasted time. Coming to take what's mine. Can't stop, won't stop, won't. If you really want it, gotta own it. Blood, sweat, tears, make 'em
drivers look to advance, and the hopes of the playoff field turn to the tricky triangle for one last shot and continuing a championship run. It is here live from the virtual Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, where we welcome you to coverage of the final race in the round of 14 for the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series Playoffs and the Dynamo Designs 125. Welcome back to coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. We're up atop the broadcast booth in Pennsylvania. My name is Kenneth Bueno, and boy, there's a lot to talk about for the past 2 weeks, both at Charlotte and at Bristol. Brought us two different types of races, and definitely shuffled the playoff field quite a bit. One thing that has stood at the top, though, has been the driver of the number 26 in Garrett White. We'll take a look first before we get into all the details and where we stand in terms of the playoff field. Garrett White, of course, winning the past 2 races in a row, looking to sweep the round of 14, and shows that tonight he's automatically advanced into round of 9. Our biggest concern, though, lies around your cut line. 6 points separate Brayson Collins and Sky McGuirk. The driver who's not going to be here tonight, suspended for 2 races. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Austin Doran, then you have James Beaumont, 8 points behind. Ryan Martin, 12. John Cannizzaro, minus 30. It looks like Cannizzaro might just officially be eliminated from competition in terms of the playoffs and the championship for this season. So there's a lot of details to discuss. First time that this series ever visits the Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and it is going to provide for a stellar end to this round. Let's take a look overhead with our images provided to us by Google Earth and our KBueno track map, located in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, pretty far out from many types of civilizations in the Pennsylvania era. It's a 2.5 mile 4.023 kilometer triangle. 3 turns here at Pocono, a very interesting track, and opened back in 1971. Has hosted a lot of open wheel American races, but turned to NASCAR in the 80s and 90s, and has ever since been a platform for NASCAR Cup Series racing, Xfinity Series racing, and Truck Series racing as well. It's a track that depends a lot on strategy, but a track that also depends a lot on consistency. You can mess up 2 corners and have 1 good one. You can have 2 good ones and 1 bad one. Here, it's a triple-headed beast here at Pocono Raceway, so there's a lot to consider. 14 degrees of banking you'll find in Turn 1, modeled after the Trenton Speedway, and then 8 degrees in Turn 2 will be called the tunnel turn that goes right over the tunnel underneath the Speedway. That's modeled after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the corners you find there at the Brickyard, and then the final corner, a very long, low-banked 6-degree Turn 3, modeled after the famed Milwaukee Mile Circuit, which NASCAR is actually going to visit this year, and so will the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. But obviously a lot to discuss, and we'll get into the details with the driver of the 55, Austin Doran, who is right on the cut line for the playoffs, suspended for 2 races by WORC admins. He intent wrecked Dimitri Mundros under yellow last week at the Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll also try and look back in the rearview mirror for a bit, and once we have time to do so during tonight's race from Pocono and this Dynamo Designs 125, and obviously a lot to look forward to if you're Brayson Collins and Sky McGuirk. A prime opportunity to take that final spot. We'll have points finalized once we wave the checkered flag. So drivers on the starting grid, it means it's our time to take a look at who is starting where and where your playoff drivers will begin this Dynamo Designs 125 from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. On the pole will be the number 71 of Gino Mero. He rounds out in the P1 spot with the fastest time in qualifying. John Cannizzaro will be alongside him in P2 with a 54.685. Jeremy Cook, I think the best qualifying effort that we've seen out of the Toyota Supra this year. He starts in P3. Lath Hicks in the 06. Great qualifying effort as well. His Ford Mustang lines up in P4. Pair of playoff drivers in row number 3. Sky McGuirk in the 82 looking to advance into the round of 9. Dimitri Mundros holding on to his spot over the cut line after getting over that hump at Bristol just 1 week ago. He starts in P6. Chase Marsden in the 89 rolls off P7, and right alongside in the driver on the hot streak, the 26 of Garrett White, looking to go 3 in a row in the playoffs and looking to go 4 in a row overall this season. He already locks himself in just by appearing in tonight's race. Joe Berge in the 41 is 5th in the playoff standings. He's going to look to lock in a spot into the next round. Brayson Collins, much like Sky McGurk, trying to overcome that 6-point deficit to 9th place Austin Duran to get into the championship round, at least for the next one, as far as that is concerned. Dejan Fulton Hall in the number 090 makes his first ever WORC Dynamo Designs National Series appearance. Big welcome to the 090 and the 97 of Caden Rife. Caden Rife comes into this race 7th in point standings with 11-0-0 points on his tally. Ryan DeBow is P13 at the drop of the green. It'll be James Bomar alongside him on the outside row number 7 before you find Timmy Spatz in the number 54 and Steven Shipman, the 54 and the 61, the 2 to double up in row number 8. Defending series champion Josh Patterson is 3rd in the point standings going into tonight. He's rolling deep in the field from 17th. And Canadian Jay Mulder looking to grab win number 2 in season number 2. He starts in 18th. Final 2 drivers in your top 20 include Brady Cox and Clayne Ramstead, the 86 and the 21. TJ Lair, Cameron McComb, the 2 in row number 11, back to P22, and then David Bachman, the final driver to take qualifying time on the grid. Final driver in this field, the 34 of Henry Clapper, did not take a time in Q, so he will start at the dead end of the field. Beautiful sim day in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. 78 degrees in the air. Temp winds to the northwest at about 5 to 6 miles an hour. Obviously, no humidity and no fog. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in sim. It's remarkably late. The sun not too far above Long Pond, Pennsylvania, so we may just drive into the sunset. We go 50 laps here from Pocono, 125 miles, and a total of 201.15 kilometers. Pace truck is ready to bring the field to green. It'll hop to the left for the entrance of pit road. It'll be the 71 of Gino Mero, the 018 of John Canizaro, leading us to the green. We're underway in the Dynamo Designs 125. One car around in the back. That's Brady Cox. Caution flag waves lap 1 before we even get to corner number 1. The 86 hard into the inside wall. Henry Clapper, the second one involved. Not as much damage to the Supra. Looks like a bit of right rear. But Brady Cox, easily the biggest car involved in all of this. Heavy front end damage. A front clip completely torn off. And not the way you want to start off this evening's race. As we'll take a look and see exactly what happened on the drop of the green flag. Does a look at the back. They stacked up significantly. That was the 0-2 of Patterson. TJ Lair looking to the inside. They were 4 wide. And then look at Henry Clapper trying to make it 5 wide before they even got to turn 1, lap 1. Gets into the 86 of Brady Cox and all of a sudden causes that incident as he just tried to get track position. We'll see that a lot at the restarts here at Pocono. A lot of drivers get good runs. You see a huge stack up there on the inside. Just forces everybody wide and using all of the lanes available. Clapper felt like he could thread the middle. I think Cox might have just came up just a little bit. Space runs out hard into the wall goes Brady Cox, who suffered a lot of damage at Bristol 1 week ago, much like a myriad of playoff drivers did, and a lot of others did as well, but not a good start to the 86. Again, no fast repairs. We'll harp on that all season long. No fast repairs are given to any of the drivers here in this series every given race week, so you will just have to spend that time on pit road. And so with that, our first caution comes out of the Dynamo Designs 125. John Canizaro, the leader of this race, took it over from Gino Mero as soon as the yellow flew on the racetrack. And so we'll have a restart just flip-flopped in row number 1 as Canizaro will look to catch up to the iRacing official pace car. So with some of the extra time we have now under our first caution on lap number 1, let's take a look in our rear view mirror and see exactly how things settled at Bristol in the last great Coliseum. And boy, it was a duel from the very start. Garrett White, who was supposed to lead the race on the green, struggled to get up through the gears on lap number 1. Let Diego Roldan go by. They were roughly 3 wide in that first lap, but it didn't really take that long for Garrett White to find the pace. The fastest car all night long. We'll touch on that in a little bit. And then he goes around the 72. Joe Berge also finds his way to the outside. That 41 remarkably quick, but his night came to a quick end. Here was our first caution at around lap number 20. 3 of this race. That was Tristan Rivers in the 68 rather, getting turned by Ryan Zabot. Here was a restart, lap number 32. Two drivers who had stayed out on old tires, Paul Granada and Josh Patterson, working on alternative strategy, but it really wouldn't work in their favor. No cautions would fly in that short period of time where they had the lead. Garrett White, Joe Berge able to switch over by. A very fast race as well by John Cannizzaro, who just tried his hardest to eat into the deficit and at least try to gain some positive momentum heading into Pocono. Obviously, things would go dramatically wrong. Here's a very errant pit stop entry. Ryan Martin getting hit by another driver, Clayton Ramstead, and then the big crash. Sky McGroark into Timmy Spatz, up into Cannizzaro, Chase Marsden, and Joe Berge involved. That took those 3 drivers basically out of this race. Berge immediately towed, and the same could be said for Sky McGroark in the number 82. Here's a look at Cannizzaro's point of view. Obviously, nothing he could do there. Then more playoff drama. Austin Duran gets into the back end of Brayson Collins. Collins goes for a spin, involves Cameron McCone. Then more. Clayton Ramstead hard into Ryan Martin, who goes slamming into the inside safer barrier. He comes back on the track. Here's just a look at it. We saw a lot of drivers get loose out of the corners at Bristol, and then a huge hit by the 44 of James Bomar, also a driver underneath the cut line. I don't think he's here this evening. Great battle for third, while Ezekiel Reyes was trying to catch up to Garrett White in the last 7 or so laps, but it was all for naught. Garrett White came right out of turn 4, and the 26 grabbed his 3rd straight win of the season and his 2nd straight in the playoffs, and by making tonight's race, he automatically advances. So very good news out of the number 26. There he is on the racetrack, sitting P9 when we get the green flag on the restart. And Garrett White, one of the fastest in practice as well, so you cannot count out Garrett White. He was looking for 4-4. He said that in our interview post-race last week. He said, why not go for 4? And the 26 and now going to try and look for that. He's got a couple of spots to make up, as the field will be single file beneath the iRacing official pace truck. Of course, according to WORC rules, if a caution does come out in the first 5 laps after a restart, or in this case the initial start of the race, the field will restart in a single file formation, so no double file until we get past 5 laps after the green flag is waved in any one of those scenarios. So with that, almost an exact mirror image of the field that we saw at the drop of the green. John Cannizzaro, though, your leader this time by Gino Mero, Jeremy Cook to round out your top 3, Sky McGroark and Laith Hicks. The rest of your top 5, Chase Marsden, Dimitri Mundros, Joe Berge, Garrett White, and Brayson Collins in the 5 last drivers to round out your current top 10. You got to look as well at just how difficult it is, this Pocono Raceway, to drive the 3 different corners that you have available to you. Obviously, a higher banked turn 1. You can carry a lot of momentum there on both the inside and the outside. Tunnel turn 2 is really where you don't want to be side by side at all. You want to have that inside line, and we'll see if we get a long run how difficult it'll be for drivers to get off of that outside safer barrier, because if there's one thing you could do easily here at Pocono is to wear out the right front when you're trying to push the throttle out of the corners. And in turn 2, I've seen countless times with this car, other stock cars in the service, and even anything else, you can easily wash up the racetrack, get into the wall, and get yourself in trouble. Pace truck is down, green flag is out. Lap number 5 in the Dynamo Designs 125 with John Cannizzaro at the front, looking to snake trail, break the draft, heading into the first corner. And with this single file restart, opens up a lot of space, a lot of distance between pretty much everybody in the field. Here's now our first battle inside your top 7 or so. There's Chase Marsden under fire. And as Dimitri Mundros, Garrett White looking to the inside and place again. You don't want to go side by side in the tunnel turn because things really get tight off of the corner. And that is Chase Marsden doing a nice job of avoiding the outside wall. And Brayson Collins had a peek of it. Contact as Garrett White slides to the inside in turn 3. He's going to have to wash up Marsden with a switch over. He'll look for the crossover out of the final corner. And it won't work. It looks like Brayson Collins might just have free real estate. Remember, he is those 6 points shy of making it into the round of 9 and advancing his championship hopes. So the 5 can take any spot he can get, looking underneath the 89 in turn 1. by Collins. Looks like Marsden fights back on the high side. Looking more playoff drivers further back. That is Joe Berge looking underneath Dejan Fulton Hall. And the number 090, again, all of them side by side heading into the tunnel turn. Looks like Berge gets the best of Fulton Hall for now. And Marsden way up the racetrack, almost got into the outside wall. Collins practically forcing him up there. Collins desperately looking to take the spot, and he'll clear at the entrance of turn 3. He slips in 8th as Garrett White tries to catch up to Dimitri Munjos, and all of them looking to get to John Cannizzaro, who is yet to relinquish the race lead. And the top two have pulled away by almost a second or so, second and a half at some points. And Gino Mero not too far behind. Last time they set a lap 54.771 for Cannizzaro, 54.733 for the driver of the 71. So 2 fast Ford Mustangs up in the front of the field. Keep an eye on them. Remember, Cannizzaro is 30 points shy of the cut line. I'm not sure whether he'll be able to overcome that deficit, even if he wins this race and dominates it all the way to the start-finish line in the checkered. We'll just watch and get information as it comes to us. Look at this battle for P9. Dejan Fulton Hall way up the track, pushing Collins all the way up to the hill. And the 5 having to deal with a lot of pressure. 2 wide, multiple rows deep into turn 3. Right on board with Fulton Hall. He's able to clear Collins out of the final corner. Will Collins make a move? Right now, answer is no. He'll stay in the draft. And I think a smart move by Collins. Doesn't want to use his car all too much. And with Pocono Raceway being such a very long and lengthy track, you really have to make use of the draft while it's available to you on these straightaways that can take a while before you get to the corner. So right now, Collins not looking to stay side by side. Fulton Hall blocking an entrance to the bottom. It looks like that'll open the top of the 5. Not going to take it entering turn 2. We've seen Collins have a very up and down and many downs in these playoffs. So you look at Charlotte, where he got into a caution flag on lap number 4, got his car severely damaged from the drop, basically. And then Bristol having to deal with the ups and downs of that race, the ebbs and flows and the cautions that came out, especially near the end. Collins has been able to survive up until this point. Another driver who's also looking to get over the hump, the 44 of James Bomar, struggled dearly at Bristol just 1 week ago. Looks like Steven Shipperman might look 3 wide at the entrance of the first corner. And I think they're going to stay 3 wide as Bomar in the middle will kind of back out here, give Berge the spot. And for right now, again, 3 wide as the 61 maintains on the inside. But Bomar has also had a struggle to start these playoffs, but going into tonight's race, he is at the moment a total of 8 points from the playoff tally. So not too far away. He can gain a lot of spots here in this race. He is 13th right now. A lot of work to do as some more side-by-side action happens between some playoff drivers. Playing Ramstead, Timmy Spatz, and now Josh Patterson, making it a trio into turn 3. Riding on board with Lane Ramstead gives that spot up to Timmy Spatz. That is for 15th, and now making a battle for 16th. Josh Patterson, bit of left front nose damage. That is from the opening jump of the race. He's going to fall back, and so we'll single file out. For this point, looks like Shipperman's attempt at 3 wide didn't really work on the 44 nor the 41. He's going to maintain underneath Bomar, this time heading for the tunnel turn as Dejan Fulton Hall tries to look at a sneak underneath Chase Marsden. Can't quite do it. And Marsden a little loose at the exit of turn 2. They're going to single out. Looks like Leif Hicks will find a way to the bottom, entering turn 3. For right now, though, everybody still catching Cannizzaro and Gino Mero, but that 71 is hounding on the rear bumper. He might make a move pretty soon, crossing the line, lap 11. And here comes Mero to the inside at the exit of turn 1. Finds a space underneath. 71 looks down low. Sky McGurk further back in 3rd. But the focus on your top 2. Here comes Mero in the Smart Food Mustang to the inside in the tunnel turn. And new race leader Gino Mero this time by. And can Canizaro react in time to get it underneath the 71? The answer for right now is no. Mero in control of the race. And Sky McGurk not too far behind in third. It's been a very good start for the driver of the 82, who now comes into this race also 6 points beneath the cut line. He's in the same scenario as Brayson Collins going into tonight. We saw the huge crash that he was involved in at Bristol just 1 week ago. Also sort of struggled that Charlotte has been able to maintain and keep himself alive, at least in terms of the playoff fight, not mathematically out by any stretch of the imagination. So we'll watch as the 82 and the rookie driver tries to catch up to your top two, but it looks like for right now, fastest driver actually is the 82, 55.495 as they cross the stripe. It was a 55.8 for Gino Mero, and then a 56.1 for John Canizaro, who now looks again to strike on the 71 of Mero. Can't quite do it, and your Mustang top three continues to pull away as Garrett White has settled into fourth, and I don't believe there's many battles on the racetrack. Here might be one for P9. That is Caden Rife looking underneath Lath Hicks. Hicks way up the racetrack in turn three. A couple of more drivers almost strike the outside wall. A beautiful angle we saw there of almost the entire field getting out of the final corner. And here's a side-by-side battle for 16th. Timmy Spatz, Josh Patterson into turn one. Just look at the side-by-side action that settles sort of quickly. Patterson able to find a way ahead of the 54. Looks like Jay Mulder going to find a way to power on the outside as James Bomar goes against two more playoff competitors. This is Brayson Collins, Clayton Ramsey. Look at the send by Patterson heading into turn three. And it looks like he will relinquish that move. He'll have to back out. Collins slams the outside wall. He'll get into Ramstead. They travel down the track. And that is a huge hit for Patterson. He's going to drop 2 spots on the front straightaway. They may even go 3 wide. Timmy Spatz will look for it. He'll try and get it. He'll back out. Door shut into turn one. And again, like I talked about near the top of the show, you can easily wear out the right front end out of turn 2 or turn 3. You can find yourself into the outside wall if you get a little too eager on the throttle. And now some heavy front end damage for Racing Collins, for Clayton Ramstead, and even a bit for Josh Patterson. 3 wide, almost into the tunnel turn. Mulder looking to the middle. They almost make contact. And this is nightmare fuel if you're Brayson Collins, who's buried back in 15th. Remember, 6 points out. And the driver who's in the same spot as him is currently relaxing in P3, trying to catch up to the leaders. Here comes McGurk, now with a potential pass on Canizaro and Gino Mero. They're both side by side for P1. And caution flag is out. For the first time, it looks like Lath Hicks and Clayton Ramstead involved on that 15. Look at the extensive damage on the 21. And with this, it might signal the end of Clayton Ramstead's hopes for a WORC Dynamo Designs National Series Championship. Take a look at the 21. Remember, he picked up all that damage as they were at the exit of turn 3 the lap prior. Lath Hicks right in front of him in the 06. He gets hard on the wall, then goes down the track right into Ramstead, and bam! The 21 goes directly into the tire barriers on the entrance of pit road, and there is nothing the 21 could do. We'll take another look at it. You'll see up the road that 06 slides a little wide, gets off of that yellow line. You really want to hug that corner here with this car. Doesn't have a lot of downforce, and then just travels down the track, and Ramstead nowhere to go. And Lath Hicks going for an absolute slam into the inside wall, and he immediately tows that car to the pit lane. He becomes our first DNF of the night here in this Dynamo Designs 125. So caution flag out again here from the virtual Pocono Raceway as of the moment. And as John Canizaro continues to lead this race, we're going to have a fantastic three-way battle. Sky McGuirk had caught up to the top two. Merrill, who has been dealing with internet connectivity issues all race long, he's been blinking for a while. He's been in and out, but he was in that battle too. They were side by side for the lead going into turn one by the time that caution came out with the Lath Hicks and the driver of the number 21 of Plain Ramstead. Let's take a look at your playoff picture going into tonight's race from Pocono. Of course, Garrett White, the winner of the last two races in the playoffs, he shows up today. He's automatically locked in to the next round. Gino Merrill looking to hold on to what's been a consistent playoff run up until this point. The 71 second right now on the racetrack. Josh Patterson, Timmy Spatz, Joe Berge, Dimitri Mundros, Caden Reif, Plain Ramstead, and Austin Duran hold the spots, at least going to the green flag. Now with Plain Ramstead out of this race, with Brayson Collins and Sky McGuirk still in it. And of course, with the suspension given to the 55 of Austin Duran, it may just help those two dramatically to shoot up in the playoff standings and at least continue a championship run heading into the next round starting at Chicagoland Speedway. Here are the leaders. Lap number 17 heading for pit road for the first time. And so 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles for the field. Doesn't look like any changes. Looks like Garrett White with a fantastic pit stop might get him to second. And it'll move him up to third. So a good pit stop by the number 26 of Garrett White with a 14.2 second run in the pit lane. But Gino Merrill will have the advantage out 14.7. He evens out with Canizaro, but track position alone and with Gino Merrill at the front. Obviously going to help that 71. Gain the lead out of pit road. Top 4 have stayed out on the racetrack. So an interesting call. 17 laps in. Jay Mulder, Brayson Collins, Josh Patterson, and Brady Cox. So it looks like these drivers pitted on the first caution at lap number 1. And they were all near the rear of the field. So they were just going to take the chances while they can get it. Brady Cox, of course, involved in that first caution on the front straightaway. But we'll see if there are any second-guess decisions at this point, or whether Mulder, Collins, Cox, and Patterson are going to stay out this time and let the entire fresh tire field catch up to them. So while we are under caution, once again here from the virtual Pocono Raceway, we will remind you that coverage of the Dynamo Designs 125 is brought to you by Dynamo Designs, your one-stop shop for all of your iRacing design needs. They can cater to any style you like and can ensure you will look good on track, all starting at just $5 per scheme. You can message Josh Patterson on Discord at Josh Patterson #9212 or on Facebook at JP Designs to get your iRacing scheme today. Dynamo Designs represented at the front of the field on the outside of row number 1, but the leader will be Jay Mulder. When we get the green, he'll have discretion on the restart. Josh Patterson will be third, Gino Merrill in fourth, and you saw Brady Cox on that last time to pit road. Came in for extra service, so it'll be just the top 3. And stay out on old tires. Everybody from Gino Merrill on back all have fresh Goodyear Eagles. So we'll see just how much of an advantage the drivers Gino Merrill and everybody else will have onto the drivers that have stayed out up until this point. So it's going to be interesting. We have seen tire wear be a factor here at Pocono. Of course, with the many different types of corners, you are looking at 3 different types of wear depending on how you drive it. And so we'll see exactly how it affects Mulder, Collins, and Patterson. And of course with Gino Merrill, Canizaro, Sky McGuirk all being in traffic for the first time this evening, instead of being pulled away from the rest of the field, it's going to be interesting on a double file restart for the first time. So we'll stack them up. Lap 19 will be our marker to go back green, and almost halfway here in this Dynamo Designs 125. It's been a rather quick run to the halfway mark. Obviously, we had that opening caution, slowed us down quite a bit, but we've gone green ever since. And now we have this caution to break the action. It will be a new race leader at the front, Jay Mulder in the number 51. Pace truck is down, all on the discretion of Mulder, who jumps early, back under green from Pocono. Solid jump by Mulder. Canizaro with a huge restart. He lines up the inside. He'll try to look underneath Patterson in turn 1. Garrett White, Gino Merrill to follow. The 018 gonna slip underneath the 02. Canizaro looking for second on the back straightaway. And entering the tunnel turn, no problem, as they're almost 3 wide. Entering turn 2, Sky McGurk, Fulton Hall, Brayson Collins, all in that mix. Fulton Hall goes way up the racing track and almost gets into the outside wall, but for now we'll stay green. No contact. Here comes Merrill underneath Patterson for position number 4. And already looking for the lead. Contact! The 018 gets into the 51. They slide for the wall. Canizaro gets into the tire barriers, and the caution is out again. Canizaro cannot find the luck and finds the barriers at the entrance of pit road. And there's the hood completely ripped off of the Ford Mustang. Caution out for the 3rd time from Pocono. And it's the leaders that create the drama. Remember, we talked about the advantage of fresh tires. Canizaro tried to find a look on the outside of Mulder. I'm not sure whether this was an attempt to pinch or whether Mulder just came up. I think Mulder just slid up the track, did not hold that yellow line. They make contact once, and then they hit again. It officially sends them sideways for Mulder. Keeps it straight, keeps it off of the wall. But for the 018, lost control and obviously could not regain the control of the Ford Mustang. Here's a look at it. Once again, this is on board with the Canizaro. Now watch here. First bit of contact, bam. Then second bit right there gets him sideways. And as he's trying to save it, obviously goes for a spin. Nothing he can do but hold the brakes. And just that trajectory to the wall, not favorable at all. And so the 018 of Canizaro, who came into tonight's race 30 points out, dead last in the playoff picture. It looks like it will stay that way, and Canizaro will have his hopes at a championship completely dashed from the tricky triangle. So with that, Jay Mulder has taken his Toyota Supra to pit road, I believe. Yes, he has. He's going to merge back on the field in 21st. Looks like James Bomar also coming down pit road quite recently. There's a look at the top 3, at least on your screen. The 119, the 018, and the 51 all coming in for service. Now your top 3 on the racetrack at the front. Going to be Garrett White, Gino Merrill, and the 82 of Sky McGurk. So once again, Garrett White in the 26 finds his way to the very front. And you have to imagine, I mean, similar situation to what we saw last season, where this 26 car really turned it up in the middle of the playoffs. Got a win at Bristol to kick off what was his first win of the season in the round of 14, and then got another win at Talladega, and then came into the round of 9 with a win at Iowa, and then was able to win again before the round was over at Charlotte, but got 3 in a row, 4 overall in the season. And it looks like it has been the absolute same in many cases for this 26. He got his first win of the year at Kansas in race number 4. That's really what got him into the playoffs in the first place. A lot of consistency. Then picked up the win at Myrtle Beach. Final race of the regular season as green-white checkered attempts exhausted. Then got the win at Charlotte. And then backed that up with a second round of 14 race win at Bristol just 1 week ago. And here he is, back at the front with an opportunity to win here at Pocono. Of course, still a long way to go before we call this race settled. But the 26, if he's got the clean air, he's got a lot of speed, no doubt. You might see this 26 continue to be a force to be reckoned with and give hell for a lot of the drivers around him. And Garrett White was one of the drivers who had made the championship for 1 season ago, and that goes the same for Gino Merrill in the 71, who just got bit on strategy in the last restart at Homestead of Miami. Garrett White just could not find the luck near the end. He got into contact with what was lap car at the time, Lath Hicks, went around in the back straightaway, caused a caution inside 10 laps to go. And that was it for the 26. Really didn't have another option to catch up to who would be the eventual champion in Josh Patterson out of the 4. So you can imagine a lot of hunger that are spread amongst this first row, but a lot of hunger out of the 26 with the season he had put together. And we'll see if he can try to go for 4 in a row. That would be an absolute first in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. He's also the first driver in series history to have more than 1 race win in both seasons. It looks like everybody who has gotten a win last season has only been able to capture 1. A lot of drivers getting their first this season. Garrett White in the 26, not in that list in his own game. So lights are off on the iRacing official pace truck. Garrett White will be the leader when we get the green to lap number 23, just short of halfway in the Dynamo Designs 125. Gino Mero in the 71, who has been one of the fastest cars all race long up until this point. He'll start on the outside of the first row. Sky McGurk, the rookie sensation, is going to be inside your podium. Dejan Fulton Hall will be fourth, and top 5 it will be for the driver of the 41, Joe Berge, as he starts there. P6 will go to Chase Marsden. Alongside him in row number 3, Caden Rife, Steven Shipperman, Dimitri Mundros, and Timmy Spatz. Final drivers inside your top 10. A lot of playoff ones as well. So consistency has been the key for the 71 and the 82. They have been at command of the field if it's not John Cannizzaro. So we'll see if they can make quick work of the 26, or whether they'll have to work a little bit more to get around the Chevrolet Camaro, who takes the lead for the very first time tonight. So the field will come off of turn number 3. Pace truck is down, and the 26 will lead us back to action from Pocono Raceway. Early jump in the restart zone. We're back underway in the Dynamo Designs 125 for turn 1. And with these single file starts, you can imagine just how much easier it is for the leader to get a good lead and to get a solid move up through the gears as they are side by side inside your top 5. Dejan Fulton Hall, Chase Marsden, pair of Supras at the exit of the first corner, and Fulton Hall in his debut race in WORC certainly has been putting it on, and right now with a top 5 run as Gino Mero looks on the back bumper of Garrett White heading for the tunnel turn. A fantastic corner out of the 71. Can he build it for turn 3? Right now, answer will be yes. Mero to the inside for P1. He'll slide in front of the 26. White won't give him too much resistance. New race leader again. 71 back out front on the front straightaway. Oh, and car around. That is Henry Clappert in the 34. Caution flag out again. And trouble turn 3 for the 34 of Clappert, who was involved in our first caution on lap 1. Looks like a rather harmless spin for the 34, or I think just lost the car out of the final corner. We'll take a look. This was behind Timmy Spatz, right in front of the 70 of Jeremy Cook. Oh yeah, just put way too much throttle on exit, and the car immediately got sideways, kept it off of the outside wall. Beautiful job by Jeremy Cook to avoid calamity. And that'll be tire shot for Clapper, but of course he's able to continue, no more damage, and we'll try to see if we can get a better view off of the front end of the 34. And obviously with this car having 650 horsepower underneath the hood, you have a lot of minimal downforce, and right about there, car goes around. There's nothing you can do. Clappert avoids any sort of the walls and avoids all the other drivers, and so he will stay clean, at least for his car. And we'll be under caution once again here at lap number 24 as we approach halfway. So yellow out once more. New race leader is Gino Mero in the number 71. We'll take a short break, but you won't miss a thing. We continue our coverage of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series and the Dynamo Designs 125.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to the virtual Pocono Raceway as we continue through the halfway mark of the Dynamo Designs 125 live on the KBueno Racing Network. Kenneth Bueno to give you the coverage of what is the final race in the round of 14 for this series' playoffs. And Gino Mero, who took the lead just before we got our most recent caution, will now bring us back to green on another single file restart. It'll be Garrett White and Joe Berge, or rather Sky McGuirk, Joe Berge, and Dejan Fulton Hall to round out your current top 5. So we'll see what we can do here with the iRacing official pace truck. We'll make that left for pit road, and it will be the 71 of Gino Mero with the entire field behind him. He'll have discretion on the restart. Green flag back in the air. Sky McGuirk looking for second on the front straightaway. An early jump by McGuirk leads him in a second. We'll see if race control has anything to say about that, but for right now, all is clear. And McGuirk will look to chase the 71 for the lead, who continues to blink out at the exit of turn 1. And caution flag out again. Looks like Henry Clapper in trouble, and this time, big time damage for the 34. This is on the back straightaway for turn 2. Looks like he was getting on the 86, Brady Cox. Not sure what the 86 was doing there. They tagged the 119 of David Bachman, and hard into the inside wall goes Clapper. And absolutely nothing he could do to get out of it. Another look on the onboard from Clapper. He'll get across the 86. I'm not sure whether this is an attempted side draft or what may have you, but Cox just goes right up into the 34, right here. And Clapper just goes around for a spin, and Bachman gets a piece and a hard hit for Clapper. This may take him out of the race, and he could join Leif Hicks and John Canizaro and Ryan Zabel right now as your DNFs, drivers behind the wall. As of the moment, looks like the 34 finds his way on a pit road, so caution out again at lap number 7, or 27 rather. And we'll continue under the iRacing official pace truck. There's Clayton Ramstead getting a wave around. Ramstead right now, one lap down to the racetrack. Despite all the damage that he's picked up on his Ford Mustang, he has yet to give up the fight. And so a lot of credit to Ramstead right now as he is able to continue on in this race. As it looks like Garrett White might be looking for pit road. No, he is not. So he'll fake out. A little swerve to the left there. A little bit of fun there for Garrett White, trying to throw some drivers off on strategy. These drivers are, though, on 11-lap old tires, so that is going to make a difference here when it comes down to how they will get to the end of this race. Of course, with the percentage of fuel that they have here in this series, we know at the classic 1.5-mile ovals, you can go roughly 29 to 35 laps in a stint before you'll run things dry and you'll have to come down for pit road service. But it seems as though for these drivers, obviously 11 to 15